From collapses to floods and to unpredictable eventualities, caving disasters have tragically claimed lives globally, highlighting the risky nature of underground exploration. Why do people still risk their lives by engaging in this very dangerous activity of cave diving? Based on current data, every year, about 3 cavers die. Although certain cave deaths are more well known than others, the list is always expanding. Despite the risk of dying or sustaining severe injuries, millions of American citizens still visit caves every year, even with records of about 15 people sustaining injuries per year. Due to the unavoidable challenges associated with exploring underwater cave systems, caving is among the most dangerous recreational activities anyone can ever engage in. Despite these dangers, the thrill and excitement of cave diving still attracts a lot of people. Drowning, falling rocks, and hypothermia are the main causes of death in caves. Here are 5 of some of the world's most tragic cave disasters. At Cave Creek in Paparoa National Park, a viewing platform was built out over a cliff by Department of Conservation workers, and their work was completed in April 1994. The platform was constructed so that guests can look down a 40-meter gap and observe how Cave Creek's headwaters emerge from a network of underground caverns. On April 28, 1995, a group of students and tutors from Tai Putini Polytechnic and Greymouth's outdoor recreation course went to the location as part of a field trip to examine the local caverns and limestone formations. At the site, the students were divided into 2 groups when they entered the bush. The first group to arrive at the viewing point was the larger group of 17 students with an officer from Punakaiki Field Center. For whatever reason, they decided to start shaking the platform while they were standing on it, possibly in an attempt to frighten the other students. Unfortunately, the platform itself, being constructed as cheaply as possible by non-engineering personnel who chose to fasten it with nails rather than bolts, could not hold. Together with the 17 students and the DOC officer, the entire platform slipped off the edge and into the chasm. Among the 17 students, only 4 made it out alive. The other 13, along with the officer, died in the initial fall. It took several hours for support to get to the remote location and rescue the 4 surviving students, who were then taken to a hospital. If you thought that was tragic, then you haven't heard about the tragic story of Helena and her boyfriend John at the Nam Talu cave in Thailand. In October 2007, Helena Carroll and her boyfriend John went on vacation to Thailand. They decided to go to the well-known tourist destination, the Nam Talu cave, although they kept hearing warnings not to enter the cave because it was monsoon season. When they arrived at the cave, they encountered a group of tourists who were all eager to explore within. After having a brief conversation among themselves, they decided that going inside wasn't dangerous. However, when the rain started, they weren't very far inside the cave, but they couldn't hear the water inside until it was too late. Just as a surge of water poured into the cavern, there was a great roar that echoed through the tunnel behind them, and at that moment, they knew they were in serious trouble. While several members of the group were carried away by the flowing water, Helena and John were able to get to a ledge above it and watch the entire floor being engulfed in water. Helena was left on the ledge by herself when John decided it would be best to try to swim out and obtain aid. He jumped into the water but was quickly carried away by the current. She waited alone for 8 hours until help eventually arrived. However, when she was carried out of the cave, she was greeted with the lifeless bodies of all the other members of the group, including John, spread out on the grass. Another horrible story happened in Rana, Norway. In February 2014, a group of 5 professional Finnish divers set out on an ambitious journey to explore Plura's depths. The surface of Lake Plura freezes during the harsh winter season. The group's ultimate aim was to break through the surface ice and reach another cave, known as the Steinagulflaget. One of the divers was Kai Kankanen, who had to swim through the passages and surface on the other side, where a hole was made out of the mountainside. During the dive, one of them drowned while trying to fix their breathing apparatus after being stuck in an equipment cord. Another who was with Kai, Jari Usamaki, began breathing too quickly due to fear, which led to carbon monoxide poisoning. Kai tried everything to save him, but he was unable to calm him down, and as a result, he lost his life. After this, Kai decided not to continue. He turned and navigated through the cold water to reach the lake's surface again, but he couldn't find the hole they made. He needed to break through the ice that was stopping him from reaching the surface. After several attempts, Kai finally did. When he got to the surface, it had been 11 hours since he had been submerged. The other guys had managed to find and use the other exit, but it would take more than 2 months to recover their colleagues' bodies. As tragic as this event was, it doesn't compare to the Mossdale Cavern disaster. The 1967 Mossdale Cavern disaster is one of the most well-known cave disaster events in English history. 6 cavers, one of whom was John Ogden, decided to investigate a previously unexplored area of the Mossdale Cave network. The group discovered that the large cave system extended more than 3 kilometers below the surface, where they had to squeeze through narrow passageways and spaces between rocks to figure out how far down they could reach. They were so far underneath that they were unable to hear the rain, so nobody could have suspected what was about to happen. The creek at the foot of the mountain began to rush into the entrance of the cave as it soon became a consistent downpour. At the time they started hearing the sound of water, they were stranded behind a 3-kilometer underground river that was rapidly overflowing the cavern they were in. They ended up climbing into a gap at the top of the cavern because they had no idea where to go and there was no room to leave. There was barely enough room for John Ogden, the only person who could squeeze into the small breach. He had to stay there as his 5 friends drowned under him. Despite that, squeezing himself into the small crack wasn't enough, as it was already too late when the rescue crews located him. He was already dead. He had drowned just like his friends. If you thought that was a really painful story, then you haven't heard about the sad story of Peter Verhulsel at the Sterkfontein Cave in South Africa. In 1984, a 29-year-old expert cave diver named Peter Verhulsel went on cave diving research with his friends. Everyone knew that Peter liked to take risks, so he rushed at the chance to explore the South African Sterkfontein caves. Even though the caving equipment wasn't as advanced as it is now in 1984, they were nonetheless equipped to enter the cave system. There is a line that indicates the path through the caves and leads to the exit along the main path, but Peter doesn't think this is exciting enough. He continued attempting to follow the unmarked restricted pathways. The first 2 times he attempted this, his friends were able to locate him and rescue him. On his 3rd attempt to explore a side trail, he ventured a bit too far and swam through several small tunnels before finding himself in a cavern, uncertain of how to get out. His friends were unable to locate him, and the oxygen he had left was just enough for a short dive, which was too dangerous given that he didn't know which direction to follow. In the flooded cave, he located a little island and waited there for help, which took 6 weeks to arrive. He had already starved to death, but not before leaving a note for his mother and wife in the sand that said, "I love you, Cheryl and Ma." Cave disasters show all the dangers of exploring underground settings. These events, whether brought on by collapses or floods, are painful reminders of how dangerous and unpredictable caves may be. We may work to enhance security measures and reduce the possibility of future disasters in subsurface exploration by taking lessons from the past events. What do you suppose can be done to reduce the chances of these disasters happening again? You can drop your comment in the comment section below. While you're at it, kindly thumb up all my videos and subscribe to my channel if you are new here to help me continue to make engaging videos like this. Thank you for watching, and see you later.